Yo, what's poppin', guys? Sizzle here, and today we're taking a look at the CSGO Shadow Case. So, first things first, we have the Mag7 Cobalt core, and yeah, um, it's a Cobalt Mag7. That's pretty much it. The designs, at least to me, don't really look that cool or really mean anything. It's literally just a cobalt-colored Mag7. So, if that's what you're looking for, this is great, but otherwise it's just a pretty uninspired skin, and the color isn't exactly that great. For me, it's a D tier skin, doesn't really have a lot going for it, so yeah. Then we have the Mag7 Scumbria, which I feel like I've seen this before already, but it's just, yeah, it's fish. It's a different fish. I think there was another skin with a fish camo on it. This is it's a fish. That's literally all it is. It's still stock XM in the back and stuff. You don't see that much in game. It's unfortunate that's not the whole skin, because I think if the whole skin had a fish skin on it, it'd be kind of cool. But otherwise, it's just basic fish kind of design. Maybe a bit better than stock, so I'll put it in D tier. But I really can't give it much credit because it's an unfinished skin. So yeah. Then we have the Mac10 Raven, which is it's a pretty cool design. You have this weirdly detailed eye and then a bunch of like cool-ish looking patterns, a really solid color scheme, and the whole skin actually has a camo applied, which I think that's the first one from this collection like that. Um but yeah, I mean it's got some cool-ish looking designs, it's got a really solid color scheme. I'd say you can't really go wrong with it. I can't say it's particularly like cool looking or great, but I can say this is a pretty solid C tier. You really can't go wrong if this is the skin you're gonna use for the Mac10. Then we have the Scar20 Green Marine, which is the Army Sheen, except it applies to less of the skin than Army Sheen normally does, only applying to the main body. It has a camo and then a sheen to it. It just does not look good. Camo skins are already bad in my opinion, and then when you add a sheen to a camo skin, it looks god awful. And most of this weapon is still the stock weapon. Like a good 50% is still the stock weapon. Just if you're gonna buy this, like stick to stock or buy a better camo skin. There's better ones out there. I know for a fact because I've looked through them. Anyway, next up we have the Famas Survivor Z. This is a really good fat new one, and it's scratched up a bunch. But unlike most cases where the scratches are bad, this one is actually built to be scratched up, so that's actually okay. It's got like a kind of like bloodied and battle scarred kind of looking exterior, almost as if, went through like a zombie apocalypse, which I think where Survivor Z comes from. It doesn't look particularly great in my opinion. I can see why some people would like this though, and for those people, this is an amazing skin. But for me, it's a pretty alright design, and I can see why a lot of people could like this one. So for me, it's actually a low C tier. It's a very well designed skin, and it applies to the whole weapon. And the color scheme's pretty nice. I'm not even gonna lie. Anyway, next up we have the Glock 18 Wraiths. And yes, that is Wraiths, not Wraith. I don't know why it's multiple, but it's like the Basilisk, the M41S Basilisk, or that one AUG skin. It's just like a metallic, kind of cool looking design on the top, and the rest of it's still the stock weapon. For anyone trying to build like a metallic kind of loadout, this is going to be an amazing skin for you, but for everyone else, it's mediocre at best. Honestly, really kind of, yeah. It looks cool, looks solid, but it only applies to the top part of the skin, and in this case, it's not enough for me to bring it out of D tier, but it's probably the best thing in D tier because it at least has a pretty solid looking design, so I'll give it credit for that. Anyway, our final blue is the dual rated Dueling Dragons, and yeah, it's exactly as the name says. There's dragons on either side. The base of the weapon has actually been turned black, which I think is a really solid color change, and it just looks clean overall. Even has the little dragon patterns on like the wooden handles. These just look really clean. Very, very clean design, very solid color scheme. I'd say definitely can't go wrong with these. Yet again, I can't give it credit enough to put it up to B tier and say it's like amazing, but you definitely can't go wrong with them, so they're a very solid C tier pick from me. Anyway, our first purple is the MP7 Special Delivery, which has like the CSGO kind of guy on the back here, and seems very pixelated. Might be something with my game again. But otherwise, it's got a very uninspired looking color scheme. almost looks like a postage stamp. If you applied a postage stamp to his skin, I think this would be the result. Has like this wavy lines and the coloring and everything kind of looks like that. And the background's kind of like a DD Pat camo kind of mix. It just doesn't look that great. I personally can't say this one's that great. It's definitely better than stock and definitely very noticeable, but I don't really like the design that much. So for me, it's going in the middle of D tier. I don't like it that much. I haven't said enough already. Anyway, next up is the MT49 Nebula Crusader, which has like an arcade style Nebula Crusader kind of design on the bottom here. And even on the side, you can see your lives, player 1, 3 lives, you got like full power-ups, there's a spaceship gliding across the back, and the rest of the gun has a very cool looking color scheme of like generally a dark blue for the space parts and a nice dark red for the rest. It just looks kind of clean. This is actually decent fact new 0.04, and you can still see kind of scratches around the bottom of the box, but that really shouldn't matter too much. This is actually pretty kind of cool, kind of cameo for like the arcade like space shooters that roll over the place back in the day. So it's all right. I'll give it bottom of C tier. I think the other things in C tier are a bit better, but this definitely is a very well thought out skin, and it does look kind of cool. To the right people, but I do know this isn't going to look as nice to most people, so I can't put it too much higher. Anyway, then we have the PT50 Wingshot, which has a little skull down here, very noticeable, and otherwise just seems to have different colored feathers, and then a random white part up here. It is kind of cool how it uses like that bright yellow and white, makes it very noticeable. And the design is definitely pretty solid, but it's nothing really crazy. The color scheme's very unique. I haven't seen any kind of color scheme anything like this. But the skull here is going to be covered up by your hands like 90% of the game, so you're never going to even see that. And then the main design is kind of hard to figure out when you just look at it. Although the front looks absolutely amazing. But yeah, I can't say this one's particularly great. Can't really say it's horrible, but I really can't even justify putting this in C tier, so this is going to be the top of D for me. Just for the color scheme alone, the design is kind of just, yeah, it's just there. It doesn't really do a lot for the weapon. Anyway, then we have the Galil AR Stone Cold, which is, I don't know what this has to do with Stone Cold, but it looks like almost like Cobalt. Then with some like black kind of crystallization around the edges. It looks super clean, at least in the preview like this. Not sure if it'll look this good in game, but in the preview, looks super duper clean. Um, that's really all there is to it. It's a very clean, like cobalt looking skin. Looks more like the gemstone like cobalt than the other one that just was kind of the color cobalt. And just for that, honestly, bottom of C tier. It's definitely not a very crazy skin or anything, but it just looks super clean. I would not mind owning one of these for just use sometimes. It looks kind of nice. Anyway, our first pink is the Scout SSG08, I guess, Big Iron, which is one of those like HD looking skins. And this one has kind of the coloring of like an oil rig, I guess. I don't know what exactly it was going for, but whatever it is, it didn't really deliver that well. It literally just looks like almost like construction gear turned into a Scout or something. I don't really like the look of this that much, and I don't think it has a lot going for it, and the scope is unchanged, so I don't know. I think there's a lot better Scout skins out there. I think this is toward the bottom end, so just for that reason, even though the skin isn't necessarily horrible, I'm just gonna put it in the middle D tier where the other not necessarily horrible skins are, but ones that you just don't really want to use. Anyway, then we have the G3SG One Flux, which is a very nice looking kind of purplish silver design. I don't even know what the design is, but it's applied to the whole weapon, and nothing looks stretched or kind of out of place. It almost just looks like a purple recoloring of the G3SG. So if you like the color purple, this is a great skin for you, and I know there's a lot of people that do. But otherwise, it's a pretty clean kind of redesign of the main skin. Has no real notable scratches, and it's not particularly that factory new. 0.04. It's pretty up there, but there's has a lot more to go. And it doesn't. I don't really see any notable scratches, and just looks kind of clean. So yeah, for me, it's an easy C tier. And actually, since this collection seems to be panning out toward the lower end, and then these tier lists are based off the cases, I'll move up the Mac10 and the dual Berettas up a tier. Even though in general they're not that much better, in this case they kind of are, so yeah. Anyway, then we have the AK47 Frontside Misty, probably the one people will recognize from this case, and it's beautiful. I mean, the color scheme on its own is already amazing. White, black, and like light blue, like just looks great. And then the designs, I don't even know what this design is, but it just looks good. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. This pops out a ton in game, and it just looks really, really clean. I mean, this is, I guess, a bit fact new, but even then, this AK skin generally looks super clean and stands out a lot. And I don't know what the design is. Like I said again, I'll say it a million times before this video ends. I don't know what the design is, but it looks good, especially the color scheme. So just for that, it's actually a B tier for me. It just stands out a ton. Actually, an A tier. In this collection, it's easy A tier. It stands out a lot more than any other skin in this collection, and most skins in general. Like when someone has a front side Misty, you'll know they do, and when you're playing with one, it just looks nice. That's all there is to say about it. Anyway, then we have the M41S Golden Coil, which, yeah, I don't know why this one has 2016 Columbus stickers on it, but yeah, it's just a super clean golden M41S. It's got kind of like almost like a netting to it, I guess. But it's just, yeah, it's a really, really clean looking golden M41S. I would get myself one of these if they weren't so goddamn pricey, because they're reds, and a lot of people like the look of this just very clean golden design. I mean, I know there's more design to it, right? It's got like vines and stuff, but it just reminds me a lot of like the D lore, but in M41S form. It's just beautiful. That's all there really is to say about it. For me, it's an easy S tier. I absolutely love golden weapons, so it's a lot of personal bias there, but that's what this tier list is for. And then our final one is the USPS KillConfirmed, which has a bullet traveling through someone's skull along the entire rest of the gun, and the base of the gun is a nice color of red, and then the back has this cool little like eagle design on it for some reason. It's a solid design. Definitely one of the better looking USPS skins because it just looks clean. Despite this is actually a lower factory new. If this isn't float cap, that's great. Even if it is float cap, artistically, this looks great in a better condition. But yeah, I'm gonna put this actually at the bottom of A tier. I think that's a fair placement for that skin. And that's actually it for the Shadow case. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at these skins as much as I enjoyed talking about them. And I'll see you in the next one.